First, let us talk about what is exactly columnar cell lesions. So, columnar cell lesions are characterized by a variably proliferative, cytologically bland columnar cell epithelium lining dilated terminal ductal lobular units, which are often seen with luminal secretions and cytoplasmic blebs on the lining cells. Columnar cell lesions may be associated with or adjacent to ductal carcinoma in situ or invasive carcinoma, but they are more frequently seen in flat epithelial atypia, and it can be associated with atypical hyperplasia, but otherwise no significant risk is found in the case of columnar cell lesions. We have two entities, columnar cell lesions with atypia, columnar cell lesions without atypia. So columnar cell lesions without atypia entity are not associated with any precursor, they are not a precursor for any carcinoma, but columnar cell lesions with atypia, also known as flat epithelial atypia, they can be seen associated with carcinoma. So the diagnostic criteria for columnar cell lesions are it should involve dilated terminal duct lobular units, which is what we call as TDLUs. These should be lined by columnar cells identical to those seen in the columnar cell change. But for columnar cell lesions, we have two entities in columnar cell lesions, actually three entities. Flat epithelial atypia, we have columnar cell change, we have columnar cell hyperplasia. For columnar cell change, there should be lining greater than 2 cells thick. It can form small mounds, tufts, and micropapulations. Architectural complexity must be of short of that seen in low-grade carcinoma. So it should be distinguishable from low-grade ductal carcinoma according to the architectural complexity. There should be no partial or complete filling of the ducts. Arcades, microacini, and micropapillary formations are absent or very rare. But till date, no diagnostically useful markers are currently reported. So I'll be discussing the case which we got in our institution. A 15-year-old unmarried girl, she presented to us with a palpable mass in right breast for 2 years, which she got increased in the size for last 2 months. So she came with a complaint of a breast lump. There was on examination we found it was a 7 into 5 centimeters lump in the right breast. On examination, there was no nipple discharge, or on asked upon, she was not complaining of the pain in the affected breast. She was not having any significant family history running in with her sister or her mother. She was not complaining of any association of the breast lump, the pain with the menses, and there was no other significant history we could find. On clinical examination, the lump was approximately 7 into 5 centimeters in the right breast. The lump was non-tender, fixed, and firm in consistency with the surrounding skin inflamed. So the patient went an ultrasound, which was suggestive of duct ectasia. She underwent an FNAC as well, and in our center only, and the smears were suggestive of usual ductal hyperplasia. So, but then a lumpectomy was performed and tissue was submitted for histopathological evaluation. Sections were stained and mounted, and all sections were examined under the microscope. This was the gross we received for the full lumpectomy, the mastectomy, the lump was received. So sections on HE, when stained, showed ducts and acini, few cystically dilated, lined by stratified columnar cells with atypical cytoplasmic snouts and intraluminal secretions. I'll be showing you the pictures. There was no nuclear atypia. If found nuclear atypia, if found cytological atypia, that falls into the category of flat epithelial atypia. So from our institution, final diagnosis of benign epithelial proliferative breast disease, that is columnar hyperplasia, was rendered. It was finalized. So this was the picture on 40x view. It was this picture showed ducts lined by multi-layered tall columnar cells. This was a oil immersion view. We can see 2 to 3 layers. We were able to see proper stratification of the columnar cells, 2 to 3 layers of the columnar cell in the epithelium, and they were associated with the apical snouts and intraluminal secretions. So discussing upon that, because of the advances in mammography, earlier it was not, this lesion was not uh, that diagnosed frequently, but because of diagnosis in the mammography and a concomitant rise in the number of breast biopsies being performed for mammographically detected abnormalities, increasing number of columnar cell lesions are being described by the pathologist now. So columnar cell lesions can be characterized by a single layer of columnar cell, which is known as columnar cell change, multiple layers with stratification and apical tufting, but we research columnar cell hyperplasia, or monomorphic cells with sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Dr. Samvedi. Your presentation, please show your presentation. Only one screen is visible. Your PPT, your slideshow is not running.
Okay.
Kindly run your slideshow. No? From slideshow option, just go to run the slideshow.
Sure. Is it visible now?
No.
Only one page is signal, right? That.
Yeah. Now you go to the slideshow like you are at the home screen. You go to the slideshow.
In the presentation itself, right?
Yeah. In the presentation itself, on your PPT,
Okay.
the slideshow option, and you start from. We have not seen any of your photographs, whatever micrographs or gross images, what you have
Is it
shown.
is it visible now?
I can see that. Are you on slide number 9?
Just a second. I'm on slide number 1 right now, on the heading.
No, sorry. It is showing slide number 9 on the screen, not slide 9. Please check your internet connection.
Sure. Just a second, please.
Yeah, now you are on slide number 3.
Okay, just a second, please. Just a second. Yeah, I'm on slide 3 right now, right?
Yeah.
Now slide number 4.
So, yeah, please run a full screen slideshow. You are on your home screen. I'm telling you, move to the slideshow.
Is it fine now?
Are you running a slideshow? You're not running a slideshow.
I'm running a slideshow only.
It is not running a slideshow. Anyhow, we have not seen any of your images. Kindly check your chat box also.
Is it visible now?
Yeah, you are on slide number 4.
Yeah, slide number 4.
Material and methods.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so come on, proceed with this. Now we can see. Please click on the slides and move around.
This is fine, right? This is fine now?
Yeah, this is fine. You just show.
I just need to show you the pictures, right? I just need to show you the pictures, right?
Yeah. Maximize the slide. No, please maximize.
Is it fine now?
No, it is not fine actually. I can see, you can see on your screen, file, home, insert, design. Go to the slideshow option on the red tab. You see the red tab on your Windows screen?
Just a minute, please. I cannot see anything.
You can, okay, fine. Then proceed further. Just maximize, maximize the slide.
Just a second, please.
Yeah, we have started your screen sharing. You wish to move further, you can tell them to move to the next slide.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, kindly move to the next slide. Yeah, I was on material methods. So I'll be discussing the case which we received in our university. So we had a 15-year-old unmarried girl. She presented with a palpable mass in right breast which she was having for 2 years, but it got increased in size for the last 2 months. On examination, as the patient told, there was no pain associated. There was no dimple discharge, no pain, and she was not having any significant family history with her mother or the sister. She was not having association with her menses, and there was no other significant history. And on clinical examination, a 7 into 5 centimeter lump in the right breast was noted. The lump was non-tender, fixed, foam in consistency, and surrounding skin was inflamed. On ultrasound, the findings were suggestive of duct ectasia. And on FNEC, she was made undergone an FNEC, and the smears were suggestive of usual ductal hyperplasia. Next slide, please. So this was the gross we received on histopath, and she was on FNEC. She was advised for a complete excision of the lump, and she was made to undergo the mastectomy. So almost 7 into 5 centimeters area. You can see a lump with a white, grayish white areas can be seen. Next slide, please. So a lumpectomy was performed and the tissue was submitted for histopathological evaluation. Sections were studied with H&E and mounted, and all sections were studied under the microscope. Next slide. So on staining, on histopathological examination, what we could see was ducts and acini, which out of which few were cystically dilated, lined by stratified columnar cells with apical cytoplasmic snouts and intraluminal secretions. There was no nuclear atypia. And from our institution, final diagnosis of benign epithelial proliferative breast disease under the heading of columnar cell hyperplasia was finalized. But due to lack of IHC and other resources, we were not able to give a confirmatory report. Next slide, please. So this is the picture. This is a micrographic presentation on 40x high power. It was showing ducts that were lined by multi-layered tall columnar cells. We have two entities, columnar cell change and columnar cell hyperplasia. So columnar cell change will be only columnar cell epithelial lining will be one or two, maximum 1 or 2 layers. But in columnar cell change, the difference is the lining will be more than more than 3 layers, right? So in this, we were having in 100x, you will be able to see we were having 3 to 4 layers, right? Next slide, please. So this was the stratification. As we can see, the basic difference between flat epithelial atypia and columnar cell lesions are, you can see the nuclei are perpendicularly placed to the basement membrane. But in flat epithelial atypia, they do not have any polarity. There is loss of polarity. Nucleus has loss of polarity. But in columnar cell change and hyperplasia, we were able to see that they were perpendicular to the basement membrane. There were apical snouting and stratification along with intranumeral secretions. This was a 100x photograph. Next slide, please. So earlier, columnar cell lesions were not that easy to find out. But now, because of advances in mammography and a concomitant rise in number of breast biopsies being performed, as we have mammographically detected abnormalities, increasing number of columnar cell lesions are being described by pathologies nowadays. So, I told you columnar cell lesions can be categorized by either single layer of columnar cells, that is what is known as columnar cell change, multiple layers with stratification and apical tufting, that is what is known as columnar cell hyperplasia, or monomorphic cells but with cytological atypia, what is known as flat epithelial atypia. Next slide, please. The differentiation between columnar cell change, hyperplasia, and flat epithelial atypia is clinically significant, as columnar cell change and columnar cell hyperplasia are considered as benign lesions, whereas flat epithelial atypia can be associated, and it is actually a precursor to low-grade ductal carcinoma and atypical ductal hyperplasia. So basically, these columnar cell lesions are a new entity in WHO breast classification 2019 now. Earlier, it was usual ductal hyperplasia and atypical ductal hyperplasia, but now columnar cell lesions are in between the two, usual ductal hyperplasia and atypical ductal hyperplasia. And in columnar cell lesions, we have 3 things. We have flat epithelial atypia, we have columnar cell change, and columnar cell hyperplasia. In mammography, what we can see in columnar cell change, they typically demonstrate clustered, amorphous, affine pleomorphic microcalcification that are deposited within the duct lamina of the terminal ductal lobular unit. Next slide, we have a picture of mammography. We can see the white dots, small dots. These are punctate amorphous debris, which were known as microcalcifications. So it's a pathognomic finding in mammography for columnar cell lesions. Next slide, please. So the first picture, the first micrography histopicture you can see is of flat epithelial atypia. As we can see, they are having nuclei, but there is loss of polarity, right? They are haphazardly arranged, and we can see some amount of anomisonucleosis and cytological atypia. We can see some of them are hypochromatic with high NC ratio. Next slide, please. Next picture we are having is of columnar cell change. We can only see 1 to 2 layers, right? And they are having ductal hyperplasia. This is columnar cell change. This is 1 to 2 layers. But as we go next, kindly next slide, please. In this, we can see there are more than 2 layers. But the difference between flat epithelial atypia and columnar cell change and hyperplasia is, in this case, nuclei are perpendicular to the basement membrane, right? And there is no atypia seen. We have two entities with atypia, without atypia. With atypia falls in, almost falls into the category of flat epithelial atypia. And without atypia, it has columnar cell change and columnar cell hyperplasia. Next slide, please. So, when percutaneous breast biopsy is performed with core needles or vacuum assistance, underestimation of disease involvement can occur. So, there has been extensive research on the management of columnar cell lesions. However, there has been extensive research on what to do for the management, but existing data does not suggest any significant proper or management for this. But there is just one thing, according to the research, that if you are having columnar cell change or columnar cell hyperplasia, there is no need of any additional workup or any excision. But if found flat epithelial atypia, because of the atypia, we have to excise that lesion, right? Because flat epithelial atypia is a more advanced lesion of core needle biopsy. Excision is recommended in the case of flat epithelial atypia. Next slide, please. So, as I told you, columnar cell lesions of the breast are classified as atypia and without atypia. So, CCL with atypia, it is what is also known as flat epithelial atypia. It has been referred to as clinging carcinoma of monophobic type, and also known as now ductal epithelial intraepithelial neoplasia or flat epithelial atypia in the recent classification. So in the type of 2 with atypia and without atypia, flat epithelial is lying within category of with atypia. Next slide, please. So I found a label for this, workup and management. So if we are having, as I told you, columnar cell change or columnar cell hyperplasia, there is no additional levels and excision is not required in the case. No further treatment is required if not found atypia. But in the case of flat epithelial atypia, excision is required. For the diagnosis of ADH or DCIS, we have to submit all of the tissues. Next slide, please. So, flat epithelial atypia are a frequent finding in breast biopsies and should be a warning sign for other possible entities within the lesional area, as it is more towards serious side. Since columnar cell lesions are an increasingly recognized entity in the diagnostic spectrum of breast proliferative lesions, proper training or tutorials are advised for general pathologists in order to teach them how to identify columnar cell lesions with confidence. Next slide, please. Intraductal proliferation with architectural complexities such as cribriform patterns, rigid cellular bridges, and true micropapillary patterns should not fall into FA category. If we are finding any architectural complexities like cribriform pattern, any cellular bridges or micropapillary pattern, it should be excluded from the flat epithelial atypia category and should be included in atypical ductal hyperplasia or ductal carcinoma in C2. Studies conducted by Monofir et al. And Debs et al. They show that genetic alteration found in columnar cell lesions were similar to those found in DCIS and invasive carcinoma. So we almost have similar genetic alterations, but we don't have any architectural complexity. Next slide, please. So we need to differentiate between columnar cell change, columnar cell hyperplasia, and flat epithelial atypia. It is clinically significant to differentiate between the three. Among columnar cell hyperplasia, columnar cell lesions, flat epithelial atypia actually receives more attention due to atypia involved. It has been considered as a non-obligate pre-neoplastic lesion, and progression of these lesions to invasive cancer has been reported as increasingly low, right? Although it has been reported to higher to go towards carcinoma, but among the three, if flat epithelial atypia requires more attention. Therefore, controversy to the management and those lesions still remains, and further intervention is restricted to cases with other pre-malignant lesions or in radiological pathological disagreement. Next slide, please. A consistent correlation exists between columnar cell lesion and carcinoma breast, which is evidenced by presence of such lesions in diagnosed cases of carcinoma. So what we have found is, if you are doing a study for carcinoma studies, what we can see is in carcinoma there are the columnar cell lesions are a precursor lesion for the carcinoma. So since columnar cell lesions represent a significant precursor for carcinoma breast, a multidisciplinary modality of approach will help to detect these lesions much earlier and will prove worthwhile. Next slide, please. That's it. Thank you from my side.
Thank you, Dr. Samriddhi, for a very informative session. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Samriddhi? I don't think there are any questions, Dr. Samriddhi. Thank you for your participation. Now I would like to call upon